Hey everyone and welcome to LoL Diary. I am the host of this show, Kitcha, and today we're taking a look at roaming, aka that one fundamental thing in League of Legends that low elo people seem to underestimate. To ensure the quality of all the information presented in this video, I've consulted with my diamond player friend Tempest. Now in this video I'll explain the basics of roaming, what roaming is, how you should roam, when you should roam, if itemization plays any part, and generally about the laning phase related to roaming. Let's go! Now what is roaming? Roaming is the simple act of leaving your lane and ganking another lane. This might sound simple, but believe me when I say that many low elo players just tend to keep underestimating what huge game impact you can have with this move. And in higher elos, any good laner will look for whatever opportunity they can get to do a good roam. So we've kinda defined roaming, but how do you actually do it? The short answer is: you push in your lane to the enemy tower, and then you gank the either most overextended or the most accessible lane. If one of your lanes are overextending and losing, tell them to let their opponents push and then roam to that lane. Now for the long answer, we'll actually have to look at when to roam. There are certain conditions that make roaming so much easier. If you score a kill in your own lane or your opponent backs, and you don't have to back yourself. This is an excellent opportunity to push in your wave and then go roaming. This also works if you get a good trade with your opponent and get them super low. Even if they're not backing, you can just zone them out while hard pushing the wave, and then you go roaming. This will put your opponent into a dilemma. Either they have to counter roam you, which is suboptimal because they're low, or they'll have to get the much needed farm, which basically gives you a free roam without losing anything. Another really good opportunity is that if you're backed and your opponent is still dead, you probably have some time to do a well-needed gank in another lane. This is especially useful on supports. Usually as a support you want to roam mid after your first back. Just make sure you're not behind and leave your ADC to die alone. But remember, if your lane opponent is dead, this is basically a free roam. There's virtually no risk in doing this. Another situation is if your opponent is roaming and you have to counter roam. This is especially effective if you're already in the lead. If your opponent is trying to get back into the game, you can just follow them and deny them even that. It can totally shut them down from the game. And of course, if your opponent lacks wave clear, you can push the wave into their tower and then go roaming, even though your opponent is still healthy enough to counter roam. The previously mentioned dilemma will still apply. In lower elo, you're pretty much good to roam all the time. Most people don't even know how to deal with roaming. Just remember that it's low elo and you have to play a bit selfish. You still have to act like the carry of the team even when roaming. Now in higher elos, it's much more high risk, high reward. If you fail a roam, you'll put yourself and your team at a much higher risk than in lower elos. But a successful roam can totally turn a game around. As for itemization, it's not really that important. Items like Luden's Echo and Duskblade will help your roams a bit, and champs that synergize with Boots of Swiftness will do greatly. But you most probably should not change your itemization just because you're roaming a lot. Now Boots of Mobility can be worth on supports such as Blitzcrank and Bard, but it should really be restricted to this kind of champion, and please avoid Boots of Mobility in the top lane. Now as for the laning phase, you want to stick by it, put a lot of pressure, get your first item, and then your first power spike, which is level 6 for most champions, but not all champions. All of this while being ahead. And as I mentioned, in lower elos you can roam even though you're behind. While in higher elos, roaming when you're behind usually means taking a huge risk to get back into the game. And that's basically it. Now to recap. For the most effective roam, you want to put a lot of pressure in your lane, look for any opportunity that allows you to leave your lane without getting punished, push in your wave before you leave, and then get to the lane you want to gank. Remember in solo queue to ping a lot, because nothing is worse than your teammates not seeing you coming. And remember, you really want to make these roams count. And those are the very basics of roaming. I hope you guys enjoyed this video and I hope you learned something new. Please leave a like if you liked the content, or leave a dislike in case you didn't like the content. Either way, it's totally fair. Leave a comment telling me what you thought. Tell me if there's any specific guide or content you want to know next. And subscribe to the channel to keep tab of all the new videos coming every Sunday. I'll see you guys next week. Until then, stick to the plan, viewers!